Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, welcome, everybody. And how about if we do a little bit of a bonus one there? Da 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 da! What's my good cheer? Welcome, welcome, everybody. That is the last of it. I have just burnt every little bit of energy that I had in me in this set of days off. I am working full time at the moment, and I really come to appreciate how I have been able to build a schedule in my life that allows me to make some space for myself and make some space in building my brand so that it's not taking from my essence, not taking the little bit last of that bone marrow, or you know what I mean? Just not sucking the last out of me, that I actually have enough energy to do both, all, right? If I choose to. But I recognize when I am putting in physically that full time effort, that I notice that that energy is not dispersed in a way that it's still lingering there at the end of the day. And sometimes that's a good thing, isn't it? To know that we're not just laying on the couch with the remote control and not getting anything done, not burning any calories, not accomplishing anything in our day, or moving towards those goals and those dreams that each one of us, right, get to make. And we can choose that, but without moving towards that, understanding that, whoever, whatever helps those who help themselves. And I try to do that a little bit for myself, but sometimes in that messaging, is that what it is? Messaging that I get, that in this moment, I appreciate that I have to take in a little bit of rest. I have to recognize that as much as I like to go 100 miles an hour, there are moments that call for me to slow right down, possibly even to come to a complete standstill if possible. And this is the messaging I'm getting right now, just to rest. And it's in the conversations, it's in the topics that are coming across my path, it's in the titles and the thumbnails that are being suggested to me, and accidentally going into content today where the titles are absolutely something different, but touching on those topics of rest and relaxation and regrouping and re-energizing, right? And yeah, I sometimes I don't always get the message because I do have that energy. That my sisters always say, like, where does it come from? And I says, well, I don't know. It's just there, right? God gave me extra to deal with what I've got to deal with in life, and that's how I figure it. And if I'm not using up all that energy, for me, it's signaling that I didn't really do well to burn off that energy during the course of the day, to disperse it all out there, because there shouldn't be anything left over. And this is the way I feel about things. It's why I sleep so good at night, because I am dispersing it all. And sometimes that energy is physical, sometimes that energy is mental, sometimes that energy is emotional, right? And that will and can keep us up all night. And if we do need to find that little bit of space for ourselves where we have to find that balance and really listen to that message when it says slow down, relax, possibly even stop, right? Just stop. Just take a breather and just, right? And sometimes we're able to do that, but being wrapped up in the busy, we got appointments, we got schedules, we got things to do. So we think, but it's in finding those moments, it's in that scheduling of our lives that we can make it so that, we're not overextending ourselves. We're not pounding ourselves into the ground and not taking that consideration that, right, we're not slave drivers to ourselves. We shouldn't be slave drivers to ourselves because it makes it a gain in those stresses of our lives in whatever capacity, emotionally, mentally, physically. It will keep us up and it will keep it so that we are unrested or unable to rest, right? And if we're having those stresses and we still have that energy at the end of the night, it's just a matter of finding a place to disperse it out there. Sometimes it's just in some kind messaging to family members or friends, right? Sometimes it's a matter of washing the dishes or, right, get that bathroom cleaned or the cat litter done. Those little things that will make us feel good when we feel that we haven't done anything, that we feel like we're slugs, we're being called to slow down, to rest, to relax, to take it easy a little bit. But because our nature is to go 100 miles an hour like the Energizer bunnies, those feelings of guilt and shame can come to the surface and throw a wrench into how we feel, right? In that emotional state that we are. And again, when it's time for bed and we haven't dispersed all that energy, right? We'll think on that. We'll munch on that. And we'll keep ourselves up all night, not recognizing that, right, we could have dispersed it in some other manner. Sometimes well, more often than not, we think we have more energy than what we really do. But lots of times, right, and especially in this day and age where we don't physically have to compete in the world like we did 100 years ago, that quite often that we can do it almost immobile, sitting in my chair. You wouldn't imagine how much I accomplished today in a day that I didn't want to do anything, that I was being called to rest and relax. And I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, we're going into some of the busiest days in the next couple of days of the entire year. Where's that energy going to come? That energy is going to come from me having a good sleep tonight and waking up in the morning and knowing the priorities and where I'll be dispersing that energy, right? And if I disperse every single ounce of it in that shift, in that job that puts the roof over my head, I'm good with that, right? I'm good with that because I know that I will be able to come home and get that rest and relaxation in, knowing that I dispersed all that energy. And then when it's time to go to bed, I'm going to have a good sleepy and wake up in the morning full of energy because, well, I'm going to need that too because this sale is 2 days long and it's going to take everything, right? Not just out of me, but Well, it is a busy, busy day, and hopefully it runs smoothly. And it's 2 days, 2 busy days, dollar days. Oh my goodness, right? But I revel in those challenges. And because I do rest, though I take my considerations for how I feel, right? When I do rest, that I do feel that guilt and shame and that little bit of procrastination and that laziness that when I'm called to, right? I don't get a say in that. And I wouldn't be a good student if I didn't listen to that direction that I know is going to serve me really, really well. And in the end, serve others, right? If I can get those lessons and those tools in that tool belt, right? Ready for me to whip out if I should need a little bit of extra rocket power, right? And that doesn't happen very often. And I am grateful that I know there are people out there that do not rest well, that they are the light in the darknesses and even in their own miserable existence at times, right? That they still trudge forward, they still give up of themselves, and they still smile and whistle while they do that work, right? So it is my hopes to, yeah, get that package together so that I could help alleviate some of that. Is it lack of energy? Not necessarily a lack of energy. It's just the priorities as to where that energy should be dispersed. And that's the truth, right? I don't worry too much about what I don't know. I just understand that I can just do the very best that I possibly can. Okay, you guys, just a couple minutes, first perspective on the word that I pull out of this deck. I hope everybody is having an amazing week. It is a week, I think, for me to go slow and be meticulous in what I do. I'm still getting those goals done. I have no idea. I look at my set of days off and I think, what did I do? And then I sit and then I look at it differently and I ask myself, what did I accomplish? And when I do it like that, I think, oh my goodness, how did I manage that? I did. And in the end, is that all that counts? I don't know. I don't know. But it was the best that I could do in a moment when I was being asked just to not do anything. Okay, you guys, here we go. The card we've got tonight, first perspective, just a couple of minutes. I love this word. I really love this word. This is a word that's been top of mind and top of topics for a very long time now. Oh my goodness, for so long, the whole year is in the amalgamation and the assimilation of all parts of me, right? The word we got is synthesis, you guys. Synthesis is understanding it takes all kinds to make the world. Synthesis, if you don't know it, this is a word that's come across my path. Oh my goodness, probably in the last 10 years, numerous times. And it's a fairly new word in my vocabulary. If it's only come across my path, we're going to stop and give some good cheer to the fire trucks that are heading off to a destination. And I'm wishing that it's going to be a false alarm and they'll just turn around and go right back to the station. If you don't know, I live behind a fire station. Okay. Synthesis is the accumulation of many different ideas, right? Different ways of thinking, different ways of being, right? Assimilation ties in very well with this word synthesis, right? Because the synthesis is taking all parts and creating something new. And I guess if I'm going to be uh, just first perspective of something that's coming to my mind, right? That accumulation, and I'm going to go back to a history lesson, and it is in you know, they have like animals like the liger, where it's half lion and half tiger, right? And these animals are hybrids between two different, they're assimilations and uh, amalgamations of two different creatures on this earth, right? But normally, like a zebra, even is also another one. It's like a horse and a donkey, right? And was it zebras? No, let me just think. I don't want to misrepresent myself, so we're not going to use that one as an example, right? But these hybrids, they quite often are infertile, right? And to use an example of there are monkeys that will mate with each other, right? And we're not meant to mate with creatures and other mammals that are outside our race, right? Or outside our beings, like humans and dogs and cats and giraffes. Like you can't put these animals together and right have offspring and evolution movement out of these, because well, number one, most of the time the offspring are born infertile. uh, there are species of monkeys that actually um, uh, have have crossbred with other species of monkeys. Both species from both parents will reject the offspring, but the offspring has a chance in its own survival, its own need to survive, to adapt, to conquer, to search out possibly a new tribe that where they might be accepted, right? And we find quite often that these tribes of monkeys are building communities in that. And it's because even though they're not, like, say, a chimpanzee and orangutan, they're neither. They have assimilated and amalgamated, and they've created another species, like actually created another species that will be, well, I guess it could be a splitting, because at some point humans split, didn't they? Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, they actually went their separate ways, but they were an, a synthesis of many human beings, different species of human beings. It's not a history lesson or anything, but this word synthesis, it takes all kinds to make the world, right? And all of us now are becoming like a Heinz 57 of all kinds, and we're having a hard time, like, where you're having different cultures marrying each other, and in that epigenetics, right, you have two parents, right? But what if those two parents are different cultures, right? They're different cultures, and so you have different cultures and different traditions, different beliefs, and that could come from many relatives, and that can be super confusing. But we are in that world that we are actually, right, being impacted by two parents, right? Possibly from two different cultures, two different religious beliefs. My parents were two different people when it came to their beliefs. My father was very spiritual. My mother was a Christian. She didn't know what denomination. It was a search for her, but she loved Jesus, my mother, right? But my father was very spiritual, and I was my father's daughter in that codependent, wanting to feel safe, right? And because I wanted that relationship in that one being that truly loved me, that I felt the similarities, right? That I felt that I was the same. Whereas my sister Tracy, she was my mother's daughter, right? And so, in the lessons that I've been having this week, I was just really delving into the dynamics of my family itself, because we hit each one. Like, there's narcissisms, there's borderline, there is stoic in there, there is a little bit of yogi in there with my sister Carol. Like, and if we are the people that we surround ourselves with, they've been surrounding me my entire life, and I've been surrounding them too. We've all picked up pieces of each other, right? In my family. And we, in synthesis and understanding that it takes all kinds to make the world, we assimilate and we absorb and we digest, and it becomes a part of us, right? And some of those traits might not be so nice, right? Might not be so acceptable, but it doesn't mean it's any less than what we are, right? So we get to choose personally. Each one of us gets to choose what parts we want to hold close, what we want to hold dear, and then just, right, absorb them, assimilate them. And even if you are that one species, new species, hybrid, and you've been rejected and dejected from both sides, you have that opportunity, you have that choice, and you have that responsibility, right? To try, right? To adapt and conquer and do your very, very best to survive in the new species, right? Each one of us is moving in our evolution, and it is in that diversity that, as humans, and what they look like, have no idea, but each one of us gets to make the choice, right? Choices for ourselves. It's those baselines and those values, and in that amalgamation and then that assimilation of all parts of us, that maybe we're able to get out into the world and see that there are people out there that have some of those same traits. And in that, it's a good base to start, right? A good base to start. And don't worry, right? If you're doing it all by yourself, right? It takes all kinds to make the world, but that doesn't mean that we're supposed to have that crash course in being able to get along with everything and everyone that is so different from us in the moment. It's our responsibility to find that comfort in those relationships, and even if it's in that one relationship that we have with ourselves, and that's that acceptance, and that's that, right, acceptance. That's a good word, in that synthesis, to welcome all parts of us, right? It's all parts make the whole, right? And we're a long way from making the whole. Okay, I'm going to send some good cheer to this fire truck that has stopped right in front of my building. Hope they get to the apartment door, turn around, and it's a false alarm. You guys, that's my good cheer. I'm calling it a night. Back to work tomorrow. Grateful for that job that puts the roof over my head. I'll try and get some rest in between dollar days. Oh my goodness. Back at it. You guys have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye bye.